Okay, so this is the Daf for April 30th, 2025. We're in Makkot 22. We're almost finished. We go to Daf 24. So we'll be finished on Erev Shabbat. So, here we go. And I apologize if I'm tired and I'm slower than other videos because it is 12:20 in the night. So here we go. So we left off 21. I'll read it at the end here. It says, let's see. So the end of 21, it says, Ula said to him, the Tana taught and specifically enumerated 8 sets of lashes, and you say that he taught some and omitted some. Rava says the reason that sewing on a festival was omitted is that there is a division of labors on Shabbat, but there is no division of labors on a festival. Ula said to him, that is so. Abai raised an objection to the opinion of Rava, and there is no division of labors on a festival? ? But didn't we learn in Braita, one who cooks a sciatic nerve and milk on a festival and eats it is flogged with 5 sets of lashes. How so? He is flogged for violating the prohibition of eating the nerve, Genesis 32:33, and he is flogged for violating the prohibition of cooking on a festival, not for the purpose of the festival, as he is prohibited from eating it. And he is flogged for violating the prohibition of cooking a sciatic nerve, which is meat in milk, and he is flogged for violating the prohibition of eating meat cooked in milk, and he is flogged for violating, we're in 22 now, for violating the prohibition of kindling a fire on a festival. And if it is so that there is no division of labors on a festival, he is not liable for violating the prohibition of kindling a fire, as he is already liable for violating the prohibition of cooking the sciatic nerve on a festival. Rava said, remove kindling from the list of 5 prohibitions for which he is flogged, as he is not liable for violating that prohibition, and insert the prohibition of eating the sciatic nerve of an unslaughtered animal carcass. The Gemara asked, but didn't Rabbi Chia teach a Baraita that summarizes the prohibitions listed in this Mishnah? One is flogged with 2 sets of lashes for his eating and 3 sets of lashes for his cooking. And if it is so that the prohibition of kindling a fire is replaced with the prohibition of eating the sciatic nerve on an unslaughtered animal carcass, he is liable to receive 3 sets of lashes for his eating. For eating a sciatic nerve, for eating the meat cooked in milk, and for eating an unslaughtered animal carcass. Rather say, remove kindling from the list of prohibitions and insert the prohibition of using wood of a tree worshipped as part of the idolatrous rites, or Asherah, whose prohibition is derived from here, quote, and nothing of the dedicated item shall cleave to your hand, Deuteronomy 13:18, indicating that it is forbidden to derive benefit from accoutrements of idol worship. Rabacha, son of Rava, said to Ravashi, if the reference to the wood of an Asherah, let him also be flogged for violating the prohibition, you should not bring an abomination into your house, Deuteronomy 7:26, in addition to the other prohibitions enumerated. Rather say, what are we dealing with here? We are dealing with a case where one cooked the sciatic nerve with wood consecrated for use in the temple, whose warning, the sources of its prohibition, is from here, quote, in their Asherim you shall burn in fire, you shall not do so to the Lord your God, Deuteronomy 12:3-4, indicating that one who destroys a consecrated item violates prohibition. The Gemara provides a mnemonic, Shin, Nun, Beit, Aleph, Yod, Shin, Nun, Zayin, representing the Amoraim who suggest additions to the 8 prohibitions violated by a person in the Mishnah who plows the field with diverse kinds. Hoshaya, Hananya, Abahu, Abaye, Ashi, Ravina, Zerah. Okay, Rav Hoshaya objects to this, and let the Tana also enumerate in his list the prohibition of sowing in a forceful stream. The land where a heifer's neck is broken by the elders of the city closest to the corpse of the murdered victim, whose murderer is unknown. And his prohibition is from here. And the elders of that city shall bring the heifer down to a forceful stream, which will be neither plowed nor sown. Deuteronomy 21:4. The verse is written in the future tense as a prohibition for the future. It is prohibited to work the land there after the heifer's neck is broken. Rav Hanina objects to this. And let the Tana also enumerate one who erases the name of God in the course of his walking and plowing, and his prohibition is from here, quote, and you shall destroy their names, etc. You shall not do so to the Lord your God, Deuteronomy 12, verse 3 and 4. Rabbi Abahu objects to this. And let the Tana also enumerate one who severs his snow-white leprous mark in the course of his plowing, and his prohibition is from here. Take heed of the plague of leprosy, Deuteronomy 24, verse 8, indicating that the prohibition against severing the mark. Abaye objects to this. And let the Tana also enumerate one who loosens the breastplate from upon the ephod in the course of plowing. For one who removes the staves of the ark of the covenant, and its prohibition is from here, quote, the staves shall be in the rings of the ark, they shall not be removed from it, Deuteronomy 25:15. While the relevant verse with regard to the breastplate is, quote, and the breastplate shall not be loosened from the ephod, Exodus 28:28. Rav Ashi objects to this. Let the Tana also enumerate one who plows with a plow crafted with the wood of an Asherah, and its prohibition is from here, and there shall cleave nothing of the dedicated item to your hand, Deuteronomy 13:18. Ravina objects to this, and let the Tana also enumerate one who chops down beautiful fruit trees in the course of plowing, and its prohibition is from here, quote, for you may not eat of it, and you shall not chop it down, Deuteronomy 13:18. Rabbi Zerah said to Rabbi Mani, and let the Tana also enumerate a case where one says, on my oath I will not plow on the festival, and then proceeds to violate his oath. Rabbi Mani said, there the oath does not take effect, as he is already under oath for Mount Sinai not to plow on a festival, and an oath does not take effect when another oath is already in effect. So Rabbi Zerah said to him, the oath can take effect in the case where one says, on my oath I will not plow, whether during the week or on a festival. As in that case, since the oath takes effect in his regard during the week, it takes effect in his regard on a festival as well. So Rabbi Mani replied, the Mishnah did not include that prohibition because the Tana is not teaching matter that is in the category of those matters subject to dissolution by means of posing a request to a Torah scholar. As oaths fall into that category, this case is not enumerated in the Mishnah. So Rabbi Zerah said, and did the Tana not teach matter subject to dissolution by means of a Torah scholar? But isn't there the matter of consecrated animals whose sanctity can be repelled by means of dissolution of the vow by a Torah scholar, which was included in the Mishnah? Rabbi Mani answered, the Tana is referring to a firstborn animal, which is consecrated from the womb. Since it was not consecrated by means of a vow, the sanctity cannot be dissolved by a Torah scholar. Rabbi Zerah asked, but isn't there the matter of the impurity of a Nazirite whose vow of Naziriteship, or Nezirut, I guess, can be dissolved by a Torah scholar, which was included in the Mishnah? Rabbi Mani answered that the reference in the Mishnah is to one who is a Nazirite like Samson, for whom there is no dissolution. Rabbi Zerah asked, is a Nazirite like Samson subject to the prohibition of contracting impurity imparted by corpses? He is not, as the Tana enumerated the prohibition of a Nazirite becoming impure with impurity imparted by a corpse. Clearly, he is not a Nazirite like Samson. Rather, the Tana does not enumerate the case of one who violated an oath not to plow, both during the week and on a festival, because this Tana is not of the opinion that a more inclusive prohibition takes effect when the standard prohibition does not take effect. Just as with regard to one who takes an oath not to perform labor on a festival, the oath does not take effect, so too, even if he adds to it an oath not to plow during the week, it does not take effect, because he is already under oath from Sinai not to plow on a festival. So Rabbi Hoshaya says, one who breeds a disqualified consecrated ox with a female, even of the same species, is flogged with two sets of lashes, one for labor with a disqualified consecrated animal, and one for breeding two animals of diverse kinds. Even after the animal is desacralized through redemption, it remains prohibited to perform labor with it. It is considered diverse kinds because the Torah accorded disqualified consecrated animals the status of two animals, one consecrated and one non-sacred. If one breeds such an animal with an ox, it is as though he bred it with an animal of a different species, thereby violating the prohibition. Likewise, Rabbi Yitzchak says, One who drives a disqualified consecrated ox to plow the field is flogged, as it is one body, and the verse accorded it the status of two bodies. One who plows with two different species of animals together is liable to receive lashes. So we're back to the Mishnah, and the Mishnah says, "And how many lashes does one flog a person sentenced to receive lashes? One flogs him with 40 lashes less one, as it is stated, quote, and he shall strike him before him in accordance with his wickedness by number. 40 he shall strike him, he shall not add." Deuteronomy 25, verse 2 to 3. The Mishnah joins the end of the first verse with the beginning of the second, forming the phrase by number 40, which is interpreted as a sum adjacent to 40. So in Gematria, you can't have a number that's equivalent to another number by adding one. So because the juxtaposition of those numbers, it's almost an equivalency. And the same goes for, well, that's also the idea of juxtaposition of verses in the Torah, is that they're side by side to form one idea. So, okay. A sum adjacent to 40. So Rabbi Yehuda says he is flogged with full 40 lashes. And where is he flogged with extra lash? The extra lash? As the Mishnah proceeds to explain, the 39 lashes are divided into three and administered in three places on the body of the person being flogged. According to Rabbi Yehuda, there is one lash that remains. That lash is administered between his shoulders. So one assesses the number of lashes that the one being punished is capable of withstanding only with the number of lashes fit to be divided into three equal groups. So if the assessment was that he can survive 20 lashes, he is flogged with 18. Because 18 divided by 3 is 6. Okay. Likewise, if doctors assessed him that he is liable to receive 40 lashes and survive, and he is then flogged with those 40 lashes, and if he is then flogged some of those 40 lashes, and then they assess him again and concluded that he cannot receive 40 lashes and survive, he is exempt from the additional lashes. If the doctors initially assessed concerning him that he is able to receive only 18 lashes, and once he was flogged 18 times, they assess that he is able to receive 40, he's exempt from receiving additional lashes. Back to the Gemara says, with a discussion of the number of lashes, what is the reason that the rabbi said that he receives 40 lashes less one? If it had been written 40 by number, I would say that it means 40 as a precise sum. But now that it is written by number 40, the reference is to a sum that approaches 40. Likewise, Rava said, "How foolish are the rest of the people who stand before a Torah scroll that passes before them, and yet they do not stand before a great man when a sage passes before them. As in a Torah scroll, 40 is written with the sage's cane and subtracted one. Establishing the number of lashes is 39. Apparently, the authority of the sages is so great that they are able to amend an explicit Torah verse." The Mishnah teaches, Rabbi Yehuda says he is flogged with full 40 lashes, with the additional lash administered between his shoulders. Rabbi Yitzchak says, what is the reason for the opinion of Rabbi Yehuda? It is as it is written, and one shall say to him, what are these wounds between your arms? Then he shall answer, those with which I was wounded in the house of my friends. Zechariah 13, verse 6. Rabbi Yehuda understands that this verse is referring to one with wounds from lashes administered between his arms, indicating that, that there is one lash administered between the shoulders. And how do the rabbis who hold that one is flogged with 39 lashes explain this verse? They explain that this verse is written with regard to school children struck by their teacher for laxity in their studies, and not referring to lashes administered by the court. The Mishnah teaches, one assesses the number of lashes that the one being punished is capable of withstanding, only with a number of lashes fit to be divided into three equal groups. So if doctors assess concerning him that he is able to receive 40 lashes and survive, and he is then flogged some of those 40 lashes, and they assessed him again and concluded that he cannot receive 40 lashes and survive, he's exempt from any additional lashes. If the doctors initially assessed concerning him that he is able to receive only 18 lashes, and once he was flogged with 18 lashes, they assessed that he is able to receive 40, he is exempt from receiving further lashes. The Gemara infers, if he was flogged in practice, yes, he is exempt. And if he was not flogged, no, he is not exempt from the rest of the 40 lashes. And the Gemara raises a contradiction from a Braita. If doctors assess concerning him that he is able to receive 40 lashes and survive, and they assessed him again and concluded that he cannot receive 40 lashes and survive, he is exempt. If the doctors initially assessed concerning him that he is able to receive only 18 lashes, and they then assess that he is able to receive 40, he is exempt. Apparently, even if he did not receive any lashes, if the assessment changes, it is as though he was flogged. So Rav Sheshet said, this is not difficult, as this case in the Mishnah is one where doctors assessed his fitness to receive lashes for that day. And there was no change in his condition. Rather, it was discovered that the initial assessment was mistaken. He's exempt only if he was already flogged. If not, another assessment is performed. That case in the Braita is one where doctors assess his fitness to receive lashes for the next day or for a different day. In that case, the initial assessment was accurate. It is his condition that changed. Therefore, if it is determined that he is able to receive lashes, he is exempt. Back to the Mishnah says, if one performed a transgression that involves 2 prohibitions, and they assess concerning him a single assessment of the number of lashes he could withstand in punishment for both transgressions, he is flogged in accordance with the statement. He is flogged in accordance with their assessment, and is exempt from any additional lashes. And if not, if he was assessed with regard to the lashes that he would withstand for one transgression, he is flogged and is allowed to heal, and then is flogged again for violating the second prohibition. Back to the Gemara says, the case in the Mishnah is one where there is one assessment performed for 2 sets of lashes. The Gemara asks, but isn't it taught in a Braita, one does not perform one assessment for 2 prohibitions? Rav Sheshet said, this is not difficult. This ruling in the Braita, the one does not perform a single assessment for 2 prohibitions, is in a case where doctors assess concerning him that he is able to receive 41 lashes, 2 lashes beyond the full set. Since those 2 additional lashes are not divisible by 3, which is a requirement based on the previous Mishnah, he receives only 39 lashes. That constitutes just 1 set of lashes. He remains liable to receive another set of lashes after he recovers, requiring another assessment and another set of lashes. That ruling in the Mishnah that one performs a single assessment for 2 prohibitions is in a case where doctors assess concerning him that he is able to receive 42 lashes. In that case, it is possible to ascribe 39 lashes to 1 prohibition and 3 additional lashes to the second prohibition. That is tantamount to 2 separate assessments, although in practice only 1 assessment was performed. Okay, back to the Mishnah. The Mishnah says, how do they flog him? He ties the 2 hands of the person being flogged on his side and that side of a post. And the attendant of the congregation takes hold of his garments to remove them. If they were ripped in the process, they were ripped, and if they were unraveled, they were unraveled. And he continues until he bares his chest. And the stone upon which the attendant stands when flogging is situated behind the person being flogged. The attendant of the congregation stands on it with a strap in his hand. It is a strap of calf hide and is doubled 1 into 2 and 2 into 4, and 2 straps of donkey hide go up and down the double strap of calf hide. The length of its handle is 1 handbreadth, and the width of the straps is 1 handbreadth, and the strap must be long enough so that its end reaches the top of his abdomen, that is his navel, when he is flogged from behind. Okay, and the attendant flogs him with 1/3 of the lashes from the front of him on his chest, and 2 1/3 portions from behind him on his back. And he does not flog him when the one receiving lashes is standing, nor when he is sitting. Rather, he flogs him when he is hunched, as it is stated, and the judge shall cause him to lie down and strike him. Deuteronomy 25, verse 2, which indicates that the one receiving lashes must be in a position that approximates lying down. In the attendant flogging, the one receiving lashes flogs, or makah, him with 1 hand, with all his strength, and the court crier recites the verses, quote, "If you do not observe to perform all the words of this law that are written in this book, that you may fear this glorious and awesome name, the Lord your God. And the Lord will make your plagues, makotecha, outstanding, and the plagues of your descendants." And even great plagues and of long continuance in severe sicknesses and of long continuance. Deuteronomy 28:58-59. And then he returns to the beginning of the verse. He also recites, "And you shall observe the matters of this covenant and do them, that you may make all that you do to prosper." Deuteronomy 29, verse 8. And concludes with the verse, "He is merciful and shall atone for transgression, and destroys not. And many a time does he turn his anger away and does not stir up all his wrath." Psalms 78:38. And then returns to the beginning of the verse and starts, if you do not observe to perform." So if the one being flogged dies at the hand of the attendant, the latter is exempt, because he acted at the directive of the court. If the attendant added for him an additional lash with a strap and he died, the attendant is exiled to the city of refuge on his account as an unwitting murderer. And if one being flogged involuntarily sullies himself due to fear or pain, whether with excrement or with urine, he is exempt from further lashes. Rabbi Yehuda says that the threshold of shame for men and women is different. The man is exempt if he sullies himself with excrement, and the woman is exempt even with urine.